So the machine is 1350 millimeters wide, so it's nice wide for most doors. Like I said, the main focus is for cabinet doors, those type of products where I have the internal profile. The machine is a 3-head system inside, so it's got standard rotating brushes for the sanding of the in profile, and then it also has oscillating, what we call disc brushes, to do both length and cross grain and get to the profiles on both in and outside corners. So really flexible machine for that type of job.
And does this replace other technologies that they would have to do?
It sort of just combines a little bit more technology. Like I said, in most cases, the wide belt sanders would be used to sand the flat surfaces. Now I can feed the panel through and I don't have to do a secondary process to get into it. So the main thing is labor and extra time where a lot of people are hand sanding or manually sanding. Now you just can do the door in one complete pass. You don't have to worry about flat or profile surfaces.
And can you talk about the name of the model, the Finebrush?
Yeah.
Could you talk about what that says about the machine?
Yeah, so the Finebrush part then allows customers to sand that fine that even intercoat sanding, lacquer sanding is just, the results are way better. So the finish you get on the doors, the end result you get on the product, even if you do staining in between, those type of things, it sands so that the stain takes, but the finish is so that you don't have fibers on the material. And this leads you even into higher gloss finishes and things like that. Want to see the head on the side a little bit? So you can, difficult to see, but at the bottom you can see the brush is spinning. And it is a unique system with the brushes because the brushes are insert brushes. So you have the standard core and then you have the brushes that slide in and out of that core. So it makes it very quick to change. And the beauty about the system is also you can have within one brush, you can have 2 different grits of paper on both sides. So depending on the turning direction, without changing brushes, you can sand 1 grit of paper in one direction and then feed the piece directly after, turn the feeding direction of the brushes, and you're sanding then with paper already preloaded, that's then the next grit up already. So it makes that changeover very fast.
And less material, less
material, less downtime, less stoppage on the machine, and no requirement for sanding brush changes.
Now this is available in North America?
Yes, it's available now, yeah. The first machines will be available in the US probably around August in the US in 2023. So yeah, available quite soon already. There are custom options. This is a 3-head machine. Customers that do higher production, that have deeper profiles that they want to get into, there's a 5-head configuration also available. So there's 2 different models in that range. The brushing technology also overlaps into the regular wide belt sanders. So a lot of those wide belt sanders on the bigger size can then have brushing technology built into the wide belt sander. So I can have the best of both worlds also in the bigger wide belt sander. So this is also one of our newer systems. This is a H150. It's a full cell nesting solution. But on the H150 model, this machine is also available with a 5-axis head. So you can have the regular 3/4-axis head. This specific model is a 5-axis head. What the beauty of the system is you have a pre-labeling system on the front end of the machine. So it labels your panels on a stacking system. Automatic loading then onto the machine, where again you can have a standard 3/4 axis or even a 5-axis head. Big size table, normally a 5x12 table size depending on the customer. We can of course also do European panels, European sizes, and then an offloading station with a robotic destacking system. So then robot offloading. So you really have a cell that with one operator can do an incredible amount of volume and no extra hands involved. The robot, of course, can also destack into different processes. So in some cases, we directly connect that robot to an edge bander. We directly connect that robot to a through-feed drilling machine. So it really is a lot more of an automatic process.
And this is the Format 4, correct?
Yeah, it's a Format 4. Like I said, there's 2 different models. It's a Profit H100, which is the 3-axis/4-axis machine because it has a C-axis capability. This is the Profit H150, which is with a 5-axis head. Of course, when you then go the 5-axis head, you can then add vacuum pods to the table, so then you can do workpieces that are lifted off the bed, so you can do 5-axis machining on all sides of the workpiece versus a nesting solution where you're doing sheet goods at a time. So we do have quite a few customers that want in the majority of work they do nesting, but they want that option to do some 5-axis solid manufacturing, staircase parts, things like that.
So it really gives you the best of both worlds, very, very flexible.
Correct, yeah. It's a large investment because it is a big machine in that sense, but these days with automation and the lack of labor and skilled labor, this one machine can now really solve a lot of problems within your shop,
What is the footprint I'm looking at? It looks, I won't even hazard a guess.
Yeah. So you can imagine the machine can take a 5x12 table, machine or panel. So you would have 5x12 capacity on the front end, on the loading side with the alignment, and you would have the same 5x12 on the back end as well. So it's that 5x12 sheet size times 3, and of course depending if you have the pre-labeling, depending if you have the robot offloading as well. So it just depends what you add to that. We also have a secondary option. Instead of a robot offloading, we have a nesting picker, we call it. So as the conveyor is removing the material at the back end, you then have a different type of picking system to remove the panels from the conveyor belt.
And is this a standard configuration, or could you do, depending on your space?
You could break this apart however you please. So some customers don't want the automatic loading, so they might go for a loading with a vacuum system, something a little bit more manual, even manually loading that. You don't have to have the unloading system on the machine, so you can sort of piecemeal the machine as you need. Smaller production shops don't need the heavy loading and offloading capacity from that point of view, so then it's more a manual process. But you can load this way with stack loading. You can load with warehousing systems that we have, where it's multiple stacks of panels and the system would automatically pick which ones. So there's lots of different variations of how to load the panels.
Again, going back to that idea of flexibility and versatility.
Correct, yeah. In the world of automation these days, customers want sort of all options, so a lot to do. There you can see the labeling system is now adding the labels on the front end of the panel. So the benefit, of course, with that is the panel hasn't gone through processing yet, so there's less dust on the panel. The panel is cleaner, so the quality of the label holding onto the panel is much better than labeling on the back end of the machine, where now the panel possibly has some dust on it, so the sticking isn't going to be as good.
And labeling is really helpful both for production and for the end user, right?
Yeah. So most customers, the fully automatic shops where I say labeling controls every process of my shop, a lot of customers aren't there yet. But just from a recognition point of view alone, just to say, I know that part belongs to that job, it's this dimension, needs to be edged on this side and that side, just recognition alone is already a big benefit. Of course, the long-term benefit is to incorporate that all the way through your shop. That's where the big benefit comes from.
And that goes back to the 4.0 and
correct.
And all of that digitalization, which is
correct. And 4.0 is a big word that the industry has had for a couple of years, but it's not practically always realistic in every shop because all the machines need to be capable of doing that. The system behind it exists, but not necessarily all the machines in line to do it in every shop. So.